Hey, what's up, programmers? So for this episode, we're going to take a look at what it takes to create a command line utility written in C code. So we're going particularly old school on this one. We're going to write the whole thing using Vim and GCC straight from the command line. So let's get started with our utility. Let's call it hello, because that's classic. So first thing we need to do is pull in a couple of header files that I know we're going to need. We're going to need standard I/O, mainly for printing, and we're going to need, I know we're going to do a little bit of string manipulation, or at least comparison, so we'll bring in string too. So the first thing we need to do is declare our main, which is the function that gets called when a C program gets executed. So main starts out, it's declared with an int. We'll get into that in later episodes when we evolve this utility a little bit more, but for now we just need to know that it returns an int. It's main. The first parameter is argc, which is an int, and that is the count of the parameters passed into the program when it's ran, and then char star argv. And that is a pointer to an array, and that is the array of parameters passed to the program when it's run. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to be able to detect if a switch has been passed to the program, right? So if I'm in the command line and I type like, as an instance, if I wanted to say hello.h, hello -h, then I need to be able to detect that a switch has been passed in. So the first thing I need to do is look at the number of parameters that are passed in. So logically, you would say that if one parameter is passed into the program, then I would need to process it. So let's take a look at what that means. So let's say if I said if argc equals 1, print param passed. All right, now let's compile and run our little program here. So we're going to go gcc hello.c -o hello. So I'm telling it to compile my hello program, and the output is going to be hello. So this is actually going to take care of the compilation and link process and spit out the executable. And it would help if I saved it first. So let's do that. All right. So now if I say hello, so it says one parameter passed. But wait a second, you say, I didn't pass any parameters. So let's take a look at what that means. If the program thinks that I passed it a parameter and I didn't pass it a parameter, something is afoot. So let's take a look at what that parameter is. So we're going to, as I said, argc is the count, and argv is the actual array of parameters. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to take a look at C arrays are indexed by 0. So we're going to take a look at argv0. So the 0th element in the argv array let's recompile it again, and then we will rerun it. So what it turns out then is that the first parameter passed to a C program is actually the name of the program running. So it does come in useful in certain instances, but it's important to understand where that's coming from and why I'm looking at a 1 when you would expect a 0. So now we know that the first parameter is the actual name of the program. We can start to work around that. So now if we can look at and say if the Well, let's do something with that. So if we have if I have 0 parameters passed, let's give the user some information. So let's say let's call that info. So we'll say if there's 1 parameter passed, we're going to call our info method, or our info function in this case. So then we're going to write a function called info. And we're going to say hello util. Okay, now let's compile our program again. Now run it. So now if you don't pass any parameters, it says to type -h for more information. Okay, so now we're getting into the meat of the command line utility. So let's take a look at what we need to do to catch a parameter. So now if there's 2 parameters passed, no, sorry, if there's 1 parameter passed, because we have technically 2 parameters. So the first thing we need to do is look to see if it's a switch. So we need to do a string comparison here. So if string compare arg v1 minus h equals 0. I'm going to say help. Now I'm going to write a quick little help function. Type hello name for a proper greeting. All right. Let's see what we have now. Oops. Let's go back in there. So now we have help, and now we have ability to check if it's a switch. So now if it's parameters passed and it's not a switch, we're going to assume that it's a name. So now we're going to write a function called greet. And we're going to pass it here. We're going to say void character pointer and the name. So now you're going to be able to greet somebody. Let's say so let's start out with hello. Hey, it says hello -h. Okay, what does hello -h give me? It says type hello name for a proper greeting. Okay. Oops. Try that. Why hello there, Lee. So there we have it, the first command line utility, our first little project together. Later iterations of this, we're going to introduce the ability to read from a file. We'll introduce the ability to output to both standard out and standard error, and then we'll introduce the ability to actually read from streams. And once we've done all of those things, it should be you should have a fairly comprehensive understanding of what it takes to write a fairly well-rounded command line utility in C. So that's it for this episode, and happy programming.